job wasn't to directly do the work of missions, but to support people who had that kind of work, so that they had a way for their families to gel, and them to absorb and reflect on the difficult experiences they were having, so that type of community would support and invigorate, and ultimately the word the military would use here is retention. Dale over here is a former Navy recruiter, right? What does retention mean? What are we thinking about when we hear that word? Retention.
We want to keep as many of them as we can.
And the reason the Navy doesn't want to lose them is because they've already invested all this money and time, and we got them through the door, for starters, and now we put all this time, the last thing we want to do is lose them. So I don't know if that's exactly what I was thinking all the way back in Bible school, but it did seem a real shame that people went through all that work, all that faithful effort, all the sacrifice these types of folks typically go through in terms of living on very meager finances and so on. Well, I had no idea how something like that could ever take place. Now, we can fast forward to my second year at seminary in St. Paul. By this time, I had actually gone to seminary for 4 years. I had done 2 years at Luther Seminary in St. Paul, and 2 years at Regent College in Vancouver, British Columbia. And after all this preliminary seminary, the time had finally come for me to do an internship. I actually had to go and demonstrate my ability to serve as a pastor. I made it very clear that I was interested in serving as a missionary. And so after Allison and I had just returned from our honeymoon, is Allison here? There she is. We got a phone call asking if we'd like to go to Taiwan for 2 years. I'll never forget, I had just stepped out of the shower, Allison's holding the phone, they want us to go for 2 years. And I said, well, sure, why not? So she said, okay. And on our first anniversary of our marriage, there we were in Kaohsiung, Taiwan, serving the Kaohsiung Community Church. We had no idea what this meant, but we accepted immediately. And it turned out what we had been called to serve was something they call an international congregation, an interdenominational congregation, which was founded to serve those Christians for whom Chinese was not their first language. As I said, it was a 2-year call, and during this time, we learned to love the challenge of serving Jesus Christ among those who were there to serve Jesus as missionaries and business people, and English teachers and diplomats, or who were simply looking for a place where they could worship Jesus in English. After 2 years, as our time drew to a close, I realized that God had done something extraordinary. But this vision that I had way back in Bible school was being realized in the work that we were doing in Taiwan. For we certainly had been a part of supporting those who had spent years of study and language preparation, providing spiritual and social opportunity to missionaries and expatriates of Kaohsiung, Taiwan, the second largest city in Taiwan, with the idea of how can we help these folks to stay. After we returned from Taiwan, there was another year of school, and my first call as an ordained minister was to a church in Benton, Minnesota. And as our time there drew on, so did our desire to return to this particular unique and vital form of ministry in the world. We had no idea that God wished this for us, so we simply served faithfully where we were and put no conditions on where God might ask us to serve. Then in February of 1998, 9 years ago, a little over 9 years ago, the Union Church began a conversation with us that led to my being called as a pastor later that summer. And now, again, we have served here almost 9 years. 9 years of life and ministry among the friends and members of the Union Church. The Union Church continues to be a wonderful congregation to serve. The very things that drew us initially to this particular congregation continue to exist. That would be that people love each other, The people are in service to the people of El Salvador, and the people are eager to grow in their faith and their relationship with God. That was the report. Then I thought, what have I learned? I've been here 9 years now. What observations would I make? Candid observations that come as a result of doing this particular, unique, extraordinary type of ministry in the world. As I said, my great desire, my vision was to be in a place where myself, my wife, the congregation could be supportive of those who are really doing frontline ministry in the country. But what I've learned is not everybody wants to be supported by me. Not everyone needs to be cared for by Jim, or even by the Union Church of El Salvador. But there does need to be a community of some kind. In other words, the idea is right. People who we have seen survive and thrive in El Salvador have done so because they have people praying for them, extending themselves to them, and giving them opportunities to be that source of comfort in return. So the first thing is, I am not absolutely necessary. We are not absolutely necessary. And that means that ours is not the only community of faith or friendship available in El Salvador. There are other fellowship groups that meet in the name of Jesus, and there's other fellowship groups that meet in the name of let's go running, or let's have lunch, or I don't know, is there a horseback riding fellowship?
Kind of.
Of one? I actually place great value on the opportunity to meet. You may know that Alistair and I actually started the Salvadoran Hash House Terriers because we had learned in Taiwan that it's a service, it's a gift to people to give them a reason to gather together. That goes a long ways in helping people talk about what their life is like and build friendships and to be supportive in an adverse environment. But our primary, of course, is the Union Church, where we believe that the one who gives us strength is the one who gives us strength. So what I have learned is to allow for the existence of these other groups. They may not have anything to do with Christianity, or they may. But we do very well to support and encourage and nurture them as best we can. I have found that we may not be very successful in being a partner with them, but we can certainly appreciate the fact that this little congregation cannot do it all in a country of how many are we now? 6 million people, and probably 13,000 expatriates living in the country. I learned that it is very true. This vision that I had is right. As I said already, communities are essential to people thriving. I'll just name some of the issues that I have seen people face in our congregation, and they are issues that that have actually led to people leaving the country or moving on from the country. But I have seen more people stay than leave because of the community we provide. And these are people who have suffered carjacking, where their own children were having a gun pointed at them, significant job